The Volta River Authority, the VRA, announced a controlled spillage of the Akosombo Hydro Dam on September 15, 2023, citing excess water levels. However, this single decision became and still is a major disaster in the area thus far, affecting an estimated 39,000 people in the lower Volta Basin. Public toilets, mortuaries, hospitals, refuse dams, homes, farms, schools, and even roads were submerged. Education was severely disrupted. Schools like this one in Agbetikpo in the North Tongo district of the Volta region became shelters for thousands of flood victims. Classrooms became bedrooms, and for months, education was severely disrupted.
They don't have any class to learn. There is nothing like class for them. So UNICEF came to our aid to donate this tent for the teachers and the students to be managing.
Janet Agbavo is the class teacher for KG 1 and 2 here at Agbetikpo makeshift tent classroom. We want to find out from her how she's been coping with the situation. How many kids do you have in this class?
Over 74.
And you are the only teacher?
Yes, please.
Tell us, how are you coping?
The situation here is not easy, but we are managing because the kids too, sometimes because of the hot weather over here, the tent under the tent is not easy, but we are managing. And our learning and teaching materials too, we have to pace them. So far as KG is concerned, we have to pace them. The walls of the classroom have to be talking with colors, but because of this situation, we find ourselves over here. We have to be removing the things. Friday, we have to move the books and everything to the office. Monday morning, the kids sometimes they pick those things and bring them here.
Livelihoods were shattered. Meet 38-year-old Patrick Wolanyo. He is a father of two. Before the flood, he relied on this cornmeal and domestic poultry for income. Not only has his livelihood been washed away with the rushing flood waters, Patrick is now homeless.
Before the flood, this is what I've been using. This is my property. This is what I get my daily bread away from to feed my family. But since the flood have taken place, you can now even see my place. The whole thing have been immersed in the water, so I can't even use the machine anymore. Now it's been destroyed. Those who know much about this machine knows the cost. So they can even tell you straightforward that it's even more than 5,000 now. This is also my pen. This is where I rear my goats, my duck, and even my fowls. So now they are all destroyed. Even the fowls, the thieves have even come for some because they don't have any place to live. So they've been stolen. So since they are no more, life is very difficult now. I don't even have anything doing anymore. This is where I used to stay with my family.
Okay.
Yeah, so for now the status of it is not even looking nice for you, as yourself you can see.
Okay.
There's no one in because I'm the one. I'm now living with my sister. Okay. Yeah.
So it is because of the flood. The flood waters came so high. I can see it up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the entire place, submerged in water. Yes, and so as we move in, you can see a lot of cracks in here. So you virtually couldn't save anything.
Yeah.
Because in here, I can see pillows on the floor.
Everything.
I can see the plaster on the wall actually falling off. Which tells you any moment this structure can just come down. Even us standing in here is not safe for us. I can also see your bed and then your drawers, the mosquito nets. The fan is still hanging here.
Yeah.
And so your electricity cables are still hanging, which clearly shows that you could not save anything at all. Your bicycles, everything in here. And so these are your personal effects that you've actually lost in this flood. And so when you look back, you come back to this room where you used to have your family family discussions, and you see the state of affairs now. I mean, what comes to mind?
It's very, very painful anytime when I get here. That's why you can even see there is no cleaning. Because when I get there, when I see things, then I don't know what to touch. I don't even know where to start from. So I feel very sad.
Hectares of crop farms, hundreds of livestock, fish ponds, and the future investment of the youth have all not been spared.
The size of the farm is almost 20, so the 15 hectares was submerged by the water. And also, this pipeline was damaged and ruined by the water.
It's about 4 months now. How are we going to survive our children? We're going to school. And our coconut, my cassava farm, I alone, I'm having cassava farm about 10 acres. And the others, they are having. In Siko right now, if you go to the farm top, everything tend to firewood. All our cassava tend to firewood. And we can't afford our life together. How are we going? And up to now, the VI is not telling anything about our life. How are we going to survive?
This used to be Agboklai Amevo's house, 6-bedroom house, before the coming of the flood. But as we speak, and as you can see, the entire building has dissolved.
Apart from his house, he also lost the 100,000 Ghana cedis capital he pumped into this catfish business to the flood disaster.
That a gahume in a dema a number ano 100,000 Ghana cedis. Joseph Akwete, who used to run a piggery here in another community, also lost a number of pigs due to the flood. Joseph is here with me.
The flood scattered everything because of the spirit. The piglets all died. It took them away, and nothing remains.
So at the time you heard about how many pigs in here?
I have about 85. I'm very much annoyed with VRE, and we are not hearing anything from them. My house collapsed, and we are all at Agbetipo camp there. We at the tent where we are not getting it easy at all.
According to the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, in the North Tongu alone, 1,540 homes were destroyed by the flood waters, rendering thousands homeless. The aged and the physically challenged are the most affected.
Ablajo gbogbo àti ochichima o chaha atomegbe adrono jire hopo abe we chakra pa abe 2 million 1.5 o cover makata ochichima akaba bala gegbe do arele o makponu maruga ko bola nu makpliga mala da ka mo.
85 years old Bavu Achu lives in this Siko community with his wife. He's challenged by sight, which means he's not able to see. So that's how the wife takes care of him every day. And the building you see behind me used to be their place of abode. I mean, this is where the family lived. But due to the flood situation, as you can see, the building is down.
Rebuilding these communities and homes more than 6 months after the flood does not seem possible for many. In the face of this huge destruction and displacement, the VRA and the Energy Ministry insist the spillage was due to unexpected high inflows of around 400,000 cubic feet of water per second into the reservoir, based on inconsistent weather forecasts from the Ghana Meteorological Authority, the GMET.
In July, we depend on the Ghana Meteorological Agency for forecasts because the water that comes through rainfall. At the time, the forecast gave the indication that we are not supposed to expect too much water into the reservoir. But in August, the situation changed. The same GMET now issued a new adapted forecast that the situation has changed and we should expect a lot of rain going forward.
They relied on expert information from the Meteorological Authority Agency. That changed, and that changed the course of things.
But the head of Central Analysis and Forecasts at the Ghana Meteorological Authority, the GMET, Felicity Ahiafianyo, disagrees, insisting nothing changed as an accurate forecast was provided to the VRA ahead of time.
Our forecasts did not change. The documents are all there. It's a public document. Whatever we send to them is also made available online, so you can pick it and study it. Last year, the seasonal forecast came out on the 10th of March 2023 in the presence of the media and other stakeholders. And this document was sent to VRA. Then when that one was that, we call it March, April, May, and then April, May, June. Then we have June, July, August, and then the trend continues. So we keep it's 3-month season that we deal with. So for the 3 months, the accumulation, how it will be, that is what we are predicting. And then that is what we've given to them. So in a year, we provide them with 3 seasonal forecasts. That is the major rainy season purposely for the southern sector, and then the one for the north, and then the minor season. So the forecast for last year predicted that some areas are going to experience above rainfall for 2023 season. And then the minor to when it was out was also having the same indicators that most areas are likely to have above the normal rainy seasons that we know, of which it was communicated to them. In this particular case, we cannot be blamed for that, because we have been providing them with daily, weekly forecasts.
This means the VRA's claim that the over 400,000 cubic feet of water that entered the dam per second before September 15, 2023 was unforeseen is untenable. The question on the lips of victims are: who was interpreting the GMET forecast data at the VRA? What changed in July, as claimed by Engineer Abdul Noor Wahab? Whose decision was it at the VRA to postpone spillage till September 15, 2023? Wasn't the VRA carrying out its independent monitoring upstream? What does the VRA's emergency preparedness plan say? And what was the level of engagement with residents before, during, and after the spillage? The Member of Parliament MP for North Tong constituency, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, insists his people deserve answers.
I cannot believe that such a major decision, Cabinet was not brought up to speed, was not apprised about it, and that the Commander-in-Chief did not give the green light. So I take the view that from VRA all the way to the very top, the President, the Commander-in-Chief, they owe us explanations. They must tell us, how did this happen? Why is it that we didn't see any serious emergency preparedness? There was no national mobilization. Even you in the media, if you had been engaged, you were told that, look, because this is not a natural disaster which took us by surprise. You decided that on this day, the 15th of September, you are going to open the floodgates. So you knew. So when you took that decision that you are going to open the floodgates on the 15th of September 2023, in between the period you took the decision that you are going to open the floodgates and the day you spilled, what did you do? How come as a member of parliament, nobody called me? Nobody. Not from the Ministry of Energy, not from the VRA, not from the presidency. Nobody. We should all have been engaged. Stakeholders, the chiefs, assemblymen, the media. There should have been sensitization. Those who should be evacuated, moved to safety, to higher ground. There was no, I was expecting that there will be sensitization, there will be education, there will be some national mobilization, the media will be informed, the national media, local media, all of us will be engaged. Then people who have to move out of harm's way, they will be evacuated, the aged, women, children, the vulnerable groups. So that they surprise, and then the level of losses will have been minimized. At least you can, if you're a shop owner, you can move your things to safety. If your certificates, your savings, those who have money at home, you have a few gadgets you want to protect, at least so that people's dignity will be preserved.
Michael Obin-Konedo is the chairman of the Civil Technical Division of the Ghana Institution of Engineers. He shares how such spillages are supposed to be carried out by standard practice when it comes to hydro dam management.
The standard practice would have been to ensure that there's a certain buffer zone downstream of the dam that nobody occupies. If some more dredging had been done, if they had been able to convince people to move out of the potential flood release zone and things, this thing would have come down. I think the only thing they could have done differently maybe would have been the evacuation and how it was done. Better mobilization, throwing a bit more resources to move NADMO and the Navy and all those things.
Where were all these people? How come the military came many days after, fire service many days after, NADMO and others? NADMO came to meet me on the ground after 4 or 5 days, if my memory serves me right. I know certainly it was more than 3 days before they came. And even when they arrived, they were not resourced, they were ill prepared, and they were shocked at the level of devastation. So, of what use was that simulation if you could not guarantee that what you have told the people, and then, do you know that even the safe havens, and I have described them as not safe and they are not havens, they are just classrooms. So the biggest displaced campus, I call them, was the Mefes Nkizito Senior High School. Mefes Nkizito Senior High School. How did they prepare that place? It was many days after that we had to, and we started looking for even tents, looking for mobile toilets, and bringing, water tankers to the place. So even in terms of the evacuation, moving the people to these displaced camps, what they call safe havens, how did they prepare those places? You go to Agbetikpo, for example, you go to Mapedagome, and you see that, but for donations that came in, tents, water tankers, mobile toilets, the places were not ready. So in terms of preparation, the VRA and the entire government must concede that they were not ready. They just were derelict and negligent and took the people for granted. That is why we are outraged, totally upset about how we were treated. You don't treat citizens that way. So, if anybody tells me that things were going according to plan, as I heard one VRA engineer say, and they are following their simulation plan and their emergency preparedness plan, it is not true. It is not fair to us. That is not what happened.
Nana Yawakwada is a public safety advocate. He also believes the VRA erred in the execution of its mandate with regards to ensuring public safety.
There are 4 phases in emergency management. There is a mitigation phase where we look at what actions to take to reduce the impact or the consequences of the event. There is also a preparedness stage where we look at what to do, where to go, who to call, etc. Now, in these 2 critical phases, I believe the VRA failed largely. And if you fail in that 2 critical phases, it makes your response and recovery very difficult. And so that is what played out in the aftermath of the spillage of the dam. And so I think that the VRA largely failed in this regard. As far as the book and the reality is concerned, they did not tick the boxes.
These are reasons why affected residents, including traditional leaders, believe the real underlying reasons for the spillage of the dam should be investigated and victims duly compensated.
VRA should have the capacity to foresee what would have happened, because the Meteo people have been there, they have been saying this, businessman will say this, and I believe they have a close monitoring system. So I feel there is something wrong somewhere. If the monitoring system is effective, I doubt why they should say they have been, they were taken by surprise. No.
I am very, 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 very disappointed by the VRA. If they open the water in Burkina Faso area, it takes days before it reaches here. What is the communication that they have before they open? Because these things all look like it's a planting.
VRA didn't do its work well. That is why Mepe and all towns which were affected were flooded. From the time the president came here till now, the interministerial committee have not been on the ground to meet the traditional leaders, to hear of our challenges. How would they be able to help us if they don't come to hear our challenges?
Yao Nsako is a former vice president of Unilever Ghana and Nigeria. He questions why the interministerial committee set up by the president has yet to come up with findings of what went wrong.
An interministerial committee was formed. Have they issued a report? Has there been a commission of inquiry? VRA, which is the public sector body that is at the center of this, have we got a report? I actually have gone out cold looking for it and I can't find one. So the starting point is that the facts of what went wrong must be put before us. What are the lessons from this? This is how you develop a democracy.
As at now, there's no trace of compensation. There has not been any settlement or resettlement. There's nothing to show.
For nearly 20 years of my practice in this country, I have not seen any government, holding people accountable for public safety mishaps. It is almost business as usual. I mean, a disaster or something bad occurs, let's go out there, spend the taxpayers' money, give contracts, procurements, people take their cuts, and then problems partly solved. We all go to bed and wait for the next emergency or disaster to strike. It's almost like an endless cycle of governmental failure on the public safety front. And this is largely influenced by a passive society that constantly has failed to hold the feet of duty bearers close to the fire of accountability.
The big question is, could this disaster have been avoided?
I do take the view that it could have been avoided, because if you look at the history, and we grew up in these communities from 1968 to 2010, the VRA has spilled. And this is the first time we are seeing this level of devastation. So we are of the view that the way and manner it was done, it appears that people waited to the last hour and did a full blast, and there was no proper emergency preparedness. We were taken by surprise. We've never seen anything on this scale, on this magnitude. So something really went amiss this time round, and that is why we keep insisting that there ought to be a program, so that, most importantly, those who were negligent, those who shirked their responsibilities and caused us all of this pain, this devastation, this catastrophe, are brought to book. But in addition to that, we need to learn lessons as a country, so that there will be institutional reform, so that we can all put in place the needed measures. So we need an inquiry. And it is through that inquiry that all the facts will be established. All sides will be heard, including the victims, the engineers, the management of VRA, the Minister for Energy and his colleagues at the ministry, the presidency. Did this go to cabinet? Did cabinet give the green light? What did they check before they gave the green light? We need to know.
If 36,000 people in upper class Accra were displaced, would we be this quiet and this indifferent? If cantonments, Ridge, East Airport, well, Airport Residential area, you know the places now better than me. Trasaco Valley, if those places, if they lay in the pathways of the spillage, would we just have pumped water and displaced 36,000 of the bourgeoisie? And would this country be as peaceful as it is? It is an indictment on us, the elite. I count myself as part. It is an indictment on us that when things affect the ordinary people, we are a little bit more indifferent. And if you build a society like this, is something I say all the time.
Okay.
James Baldwin famously said, the most dangerous creation of any society is the man with nothing to lose. That is what we are doing.
La 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 la.